Welcome to the setup manual for the HiPod X-Line. Let's begin with the cases. We've simplified the unit into two cases, one for the tube and base and another for the accessories. The handle on these cases has been beefed up to take even more wear and tear. To begin setting up your unit, you will start with the accessory case. Find the yellow base plate with wheels inside and place it on the ground. Now you are going to want to retrieve your tube and base case. From inside this case, grab the attached tube and base and place them into the plate on the ground. You will see in the next portion of this video that on the base plate there is a ratchet that must be unlocked to receive the base and tubes. Now that the base has been inserted into the base plate, you will need to lock it into place. Find the ratchet at the bottom and turn it until it becomes tight. You can pop it out to the side to readjust its position, lock it back into place, and turn to secure the ratchet. Now we will begin the leg setup. On arrival, you will find that your HiPod legs are locked into the closed position with the leg locking pin. You will need to remove this pin and move it and the leg to the exterior hole, locking the pin through the leg itself and the bracket. You will not lock the pin either behind the leg or in front of the leg, as this does nothing to secure it before elevation. You will see that these are examples of how not to lock the leg. Again, make sure to lock the leg with the leg pin on the exterior hole so that the pin is going through the leg and the bracket itself. This locks the leg into position. At this point in the setup, you can extend the HiPod legs to their full length. Lock them loosely, as you will most likely need to adjust them in the next step. Check the bubble on the top of the HiPod base to ensure that your legs are set evenly. Adjust the legs to make them level, and check the bubble again. At this point in the setup, your unit should look like this, legs extended and locked into place. Shake the silver ring at the top of the base to confirm that your legs are rock solid. Any movement, readjust and try again. Once the leg is confirmed to be stable and the primary leg lock has been tightened, you can adjust the second leg lock into place. This is a redundant safety lock in case the primary lock ever gives way or slips. Both leg locks must always be used on each leg. Never extend a HiPod tubing system until both leg locks are in place. You can see another view here of what these leg locks look like in their proper positions. Now, on the top of the base, just above the silver ring, you will find another ratchet. It's the same style as the one on the base plate. When it's open, you will be able to swing the tubes left and right. If you close the ratchet like this, it will grab the tubes inside of the base. This holds the tubes in the base while you're extending the tubing. You no longer need a tool to attach the HiPod head to the tubes. Simply find the head in the case and attach it to the top of the tubes. Then tighten it to the tubes with the ratchet you will find directly under the head. This will lock it securely into place. You can see a closer view of this motion here. When attaching the HiPod handle, make sure to mount the handle from the reverse side of where the pins are dangling from the tubes. Attach the handle by tightening the screw until it clamps onto the poles and holds by itself. Purchase the X17 or the X23, your monitor bracket will include an extra Y-shaped piece that acts as a sizer for the tubes so it can fit. If you have the X31, this piece will not be included. Take the monitor bracket, open it, and place it around the tubes. Once adjusted into position, twist the silver metal screw until it clamps down on the bracket, holding it to the tubes. You can see another view of this motion here. Notice the ratchet on the LCD bracket. If you unlock this ratchet, you will be able to adjust the angle at which the LCD sits on the bracket itself. Always make sure to unlock this ratchet before adjusting the angle of the LCD. Now we will attach the head to the handle. On the bottom of the HiPod handle, you will see two nylon cords sticking out with carabiners attached. Pull out one of the nylon cords in one direction and the other in the opposite direction, meaning that in this camera view, one will go left and one will go right. Make sure that the cords are coming out of the bottom of the handle, allowing it to rotate the head. Also, make sure that your ropes are not crisscrossed. Now, on the handle itself, you will find two large silver screws. This first one is what's called the position lock screw. This will maintain the position of the handle wherever it happens to be at the moment when tightened. If you unlock it, the handle will move again. Now the second screw on the handle is found at the bottom. It's right in between where the two black nylon cords come out of the handle. If this screw is unlocked, you will be able to pull the cords out of the handle. If you lock that screw, you will no longer be able to pull these cords out. The purpose for this is when the unit is fully elevated, so that you have the cords locked and they will not slip while moving the handle up and down. During setup, you will want to leave the cord tension screw open so that you can pull the ropes out of the handle. To mount the LCD to the monitor bracket, find the groove in the back of the LCD. Match this up with the tip of the monitor bracket and slide into place. When satisfied, you can tighten the LCD to the bracket by twisting the screw in the back. This HD LCD monitor is capable of receiving HD and composite signals. For HDMI, find the standard size HDMI port and plug it into the opening on the side of the LCD. To attach the battery, line up the holes on the LCD battery with the pins coming out of the LCD battery plate. Find the grooves that will accept the battery and then push the battery down onto the pins. Now it's time to set up your camera. If you purchase the camera included with your unit, you will receive a Sony Handycam camera. The battery for the camera looks like this and attaches to the back of the camera itself. Many people have been confused as to how to charge the battery for this camera. Sony no longer includes external chargers. Leave the battery in the camera and plug in via USB. To set up text on screen to see your battery and record status, follow these steps. From the default screen, hit the menu button and then select Camera Mic in the top middle. It'll bounce you into a scroll window and then look for scene selection. Your display will change to look like this. Then on the far right, you'll see an arrow. On the bottom, go ahead and click on that and leave your screen here. You will see standby, which turns into record, and battery life. Each time you turn the camera on, you will need to set this up. Now to program your camera so it won't auto turn off after a few minutes, go to Setup and then scroll down until you see something that either says Power Save or Eco Mode. And then go ahead, click into that, and turn Power Save or Eco Mode off. It varies based on which model you have. Also, if you see an option that says Demo Mode, you would want to go into that and turn that off as well. Now let's talk camera remotes. You'll have one of the following: the Sony Silver remote, the Vivitar, or the VariZoom. These three remotes set up the same way. A new remote, the Black Sony, has also started going out, and that has a different setup. We'll come back to that later. Different remotes have gone out over the years with different cameras. You can see this remote, the Silver Sony, has been shipping from 2010 until about mid-2015. To mount this to the handle, open up the plastic clip in the back and attach it to the plate coming out of the handle. The Vivitar remote shipped from 2014 through 2015. It has a clip on the back that, if you open, will attach to the same plate coming out of the handle. The VariZoom remote was introduced in 2015. It has two screws in the back which hold a metal plate into position across the back of the remote. Open up those screws enough to create a gap and then slide the remote onto the same plate on the handle. Tighten the screws to hold the remote in place. Now, to set up the top cables for these first three remotes, follow these directions. Look for the multi-port, which is on the right side of your camera. Then find the multi-adapter cable, which has a rectangular skinny port and then a female D-shaped port on the opposite side.
Your D-pigtail or D cable will plug into the multi-cable. Setup is the same for these first 3 remotes. For the black Sony remote, there is a piece of soft Velcro on the back which will attach the hard Velcro on the remote plate on the handle. You will still have a multi-cable, but the end of the multi-cable will have a larger silver connector. There will be no D cable or D pigtail. Regardless of what remote you have, tie off a strain relief at the bottom of the L shape on the head. Take your video and LAN cables and make a slack knot around the apparatus. This will help prevent damage on your camera connecting ports. At the bottom of the tower, for the Silver Sony, Vivitar, and VariZoom remotes, you will have a 3-pin connector. Plug that into your long skinny LANC cable. For the black Sony remote, your LANC cable will have different ports on the top and bottom. These larger silver connectors will be the same on either end. Plug the multi-cable coming out of the camera into one end and attach the remote to the other. This finalizes the cable setup for any remote you may have. Now, for all versions, take your HDMI cable and plug the smaller end, either mini or micro, into the camera. Standard with all towers is the cable strain relief plate. You can see it here. This plate will lock your cables under the camera so that they can't pull on the delicate ports where they connect. You can see you thread one cable in one of these grooves and the other in the other groove. And they will need to be facing in opposite directions, so the connecting ports come out on opposite sides of the camera where the ports are available. When the cables are in place, attach your camera on top like this, and then underneath you will screw into the camera to connect tightly using either a screwdriver or even a coin will work. With cables threaded under the camera using the strain relief plate, it will look like this. To connect to the HiPod head, find the smaller hole in the middle of the strain relief plate and attach this to the wheeled HiPod head by taking the gold screw and inserting it into that hole from beneath the plate and then tightening the secondary screw with your fingers until tight. This will keep your camera securely in place and will prevent damage from tugging on the cables from beneath the tower. If using one of the Silver Sony, Vivitar, or VariZoom remotes, plug in the stereo end of your D cable or D pigtail into the long LANC cable. Your cable lineup should look like this. To use the camera rain gear with your unit, after the strain relief plate is in place, put the rain gear underneath of the strain relief plate and sandwich it to the head as you normally would with the gold screw.
On the plate of the HiPod head, you will see a leveling bubble. This allows you to make adjustments to ensure that your horizon line will be even when viewing the field. You can adjust as such to keep the bubble in the middle. At this point in the process, your unit is set to elevate. The camera should be mounted on the head, all cables attached, LCD on the tubes, legs locked and extended, and plate firmly on the ground. Your HiPod handle and head should be connected via the nylon cords. The X17 is 3 stages, the X23 is 4, and the X31 is 6 stages. Each stage of tubing has a cam lock that secures the tube in place. To elevate your unit, unlock the cam lock, push the tube into the air to your desired height, and lock the cam lock again. This will squeeze the poles together so that they cannot move. You will see a white line on the end of each tube recommending where the placement of the tube should be locked. There are safety pins for the bottom stages of the HiPod tubes. For the X23, there is a single pin for the 4th stage, whereas for the 31, there are 3 for the 4th, 5th, and 6th stages. On the X17, there is no pin as it's not required. Find the hole at the bottom of each HiPod stage, take the pin, and push the pin through the hole. This will prevent the tube from slipping if a cam lock for some reason fails. On each stage of the HiPod tubes, there is a strip of Velcro to keep the cables out of the way. Take the Velcro strip, open it, place the cable inside, and close it again. Beyond keeping the cables neat, it helps to act as a strain relief throughout the unit.